Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. And if you are one of the 187 million users of Snapchat, you're not really going to like this video. But if you also have any kind of social media platform, you're probably going to want to hear this. Now, first things first, let's talk about Snapchat in the past before we get to today's news. If you are not aware of Snapchat or what it does, basically you are able to send texts, pictures, all this kind of stuff. They're called snaps to, let's say, a friend of yours, and you can set a time limit on it. So let's say you want to send something to a friend, like a picture of you in some interesting position, I guess. You can say, okay, send this picture to a person, and then have it destroyed off their phone after 10 seconds, something like that. And so that is where Snapchat has been kind of focusing their marketing, and they've expanded it from just picture-to-picture sharing to other things and videos and all this kind of stuff. But that is the core of Snapchat. Now, by virtue of this, Snapchat has been obviously talking about privacy and the capability of this, but they have now fended off in the past 3 FTC lawsuits and complaints, settling with them basically because they were not living up to that promise. A lot of people assume that, okay, I'm sending a picture from one phone to another phone, not realizing that it's actually going to Snapchat's cloud. And guess what hackers hit? And guess what they got? A whole bunch of risque pictures, unfortunately, of underage girls. This is what stemmed the FTC complaints, that they were not living up to their promises and public statements on privacy because they were storing all of this there. Now, we know that a lot of social media access happens on the back end. So Facebook has, their employees have access to your passwords in plain text, over 20,000 of them. They can see your accounts, as can third-party developers. Google engineers can go into your Gmail account. We had an unfortunate case of a 27-year-old Google engineer stalking a 15-year-old girl by going into her Gmail account. We know Ring Doorbell, for example, the executives have back-end access to this as well as much of their staff, and they can watch any of your videos and tag it to your name as well at will. And now we know Snapchat is no different than this, even though they claim to have this mode of privacy. Now, this comes from Vice News, specifically Motherboard by Vice News. And I've got some very interesting notes here I think you guys are going to want to hear. Snapchat internal staff, basically, they have allegedly been abusing their roles in the company by basically getting users' internal information, users or consumers' data. So current and former employees, along with a cache of internal company emails obtained by Motherboard, demonstrates the abuse of internal tools to access user data. I'm quoting from the article here. Employees were able to access location information, personal information, including phone numbers, email addresses, and snaps. That would be the messages, pictures, and all of this. Multiple sources told Motherboard, and also the emails that they obtained, refer to an internal tool called Snapline. Now, Snapline was developed by Snapchat for exactly this purpose, but it was supposed to be there to basically recover information if like a court order or a subpoena or some lawful law enforcement request came through. A former employee told Motherboard that using Snapline basically provides the keys to the kingdom when you are talking about accessing this. And so here we are with another situation where we've got a social media provider, a massive social media provider with unfettered access. And I think it really behooves people to understand that if they are using Snapchat or Facebook or Google or anything else, that it's not just a private personal conversation, whether it's a Snapchat message, Facebook message, Gmail, all that kind of stuff. People can read these things. People can see these things. Same with Ring Doorbell. And so, if it's free to you, you're the product. And so how do we combat this? If we go to, let's say, a pay model, can they guarantee privacy? I would hope so, although you pay for Ring Doorbell and they're still doing this to you. Oh, and Ring Doorbell is also keeping everything unencrypted on the back end as well, which is a very serious issue. And so if we are creating a standard for data privacy, let's say like Europe has in the GDPR here in America, if we're creating that data privacy standard, how are we enforcing this? And is Snapchat violating existing privacy laws like the GDPR and some of the others by allowing third parties or employees to access information? We're signing probably end user license agreements that we're not reading, and that is giving them in part, let's say unfettered access because we're signing those rights away. So I think it behooves us to understand this. But I think we have to have a big training push, not just on Snapchat, but all social media platforms, for people to understand exactly what the pitfalls of privacy is. With Facebook, I like to say it's not you and your friends discussing the current topics. It's you, your friends, and Mark Zuckerberg, and Mark Zuckerberg's employees, and third-party developers that are all discussing this with you, even if you know it or not. And so that is something that we have to consider. But Snapchat, that really sucks, guys. You really need to clean that up. And hopefully if you're using Snapchat, you're not putting yourself in compromising positions. And that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.